Hello, everyone. My name is Musunlayode, and I would love to welcome you to another exciting edition of the APF podcast series. Today, I have with me a proud APF member, Aishah Ahmad, CFA OFR. She is a globally respected leader with nearly 30 years of experience at the intersection of finance, equity, and governance. Her bio is a lot longer than this, and I will touch on aspects of her life as we continue in this conversation. Welcome, Aisha.
Thank you very much, Musu. I'm so glad to be here with you.
It's wonderful to have you. We're so glad you could make it today. You've been traveling intensively, and we're really honored that you took out time this morning to join us.
Indeed, and you've been traveling too, but I wouldn't have missed this for the world because the topic we're trying to talk about is so dear to me, philanthropy and, making systems work for everyone. So I'm very pleased to be here.
Thank you. And you're one of my favorite people in the world. You know that. And I'm saying it for our audience.
I want the rest to hear. Yeah. Oh, he said one of, not the. Okay.
I don't want to get in trouble.
There's some people that I want to hear this, that I am the favorite person of Musu.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And it's amazing because we've come a long way. I met you, how many? I don't know, almost 10 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah, almost 10 years ago.
No, I think over.
Yeah, over 10 years
it's ago. Over because we met before I became chair of WIMBIS, which was in 2015.
Absolutely.
So we worked together around 2013, 2012. Yeah.
And it's okay, so we're already going into the conversation before I begin to say some of the things I want to say about you. So before I talk more about my impression when I met you, I just want our audience to know that you were the executive council. You led the chair of the executive council at Women in Management, Business and Public Service in Nigeria. You were also the very first female deputy governor for financial systems and stability in Nigeria. And in addition to your professional life and being at WIMBIS, you're also engaged in the social sector, including being on the board of SOS Village, the initiative SOS Villages across the world. And more recently, you launched the Amfani Zhiba Foundation, which I was proud to witness. So all of this to say that you have always been an impressive person. And when I met you, you came into a meeting and WIMBIS was preparing for the annual conference. And you were in the
conference planning committee.
Conference planning committee. And you came in and immediately changed the conversation. And I was like, who is she? And I didn't know what was about to hit me. And it's just been wonderful working closely with you, learning more about you, engaging with you, even beyond the WIMBIS years. And it will be interesting to hear from you how all these facets of your life, being a finance person, your personal experiences, and all these various hats that you wear, how have all of this shaped you into the person that you are today?
Okay, so before I go into that, I remember that meeting and that conversation. But I want to say that I think one of the most, I'm proud of many things that we're able to do together at WIMBIS. But I think one of the biggest things I'm proud of is the Big Sister program that we created. And you know that you were very, very instrumental to getting that program off the ground. I had a vision. I knew that we needed to do more. And it links into what I said at that meeting. I think it was talking about whether we're doing enough for bringing not just younger people, but bringing people that don't quite look like us. I think that was the conversation we had at that meeting that day. And, I want to appreciate the effort that you put in to put that program together. I see other people copying the program and I'm like, we did something good in that respect. I think over the years, I've seen my leadership as stewardship. Every single role, every single opportunity that I have been given to lead, to contribute, I see it as a trust that is supposed to impact others. I think that is what defines everything that I've done. Another thing that has defined everything that I've done is that I've always, and I know people talk about inclusion a lot these days. It's a good buzzword. But when I look back on my family life, growing up, through my early career in finance and then to policy space, and then when I did some development work around WIMBIS, it's always been about letting those that are not seen be seen, letting voices that have not been heard be heard, and getting to a place and looking out for what you feel needs to change and just going out and changing it. And what I love about the process is that to do that, you need people. And one of my biggest strengths, I think, is, being with people. And so I think that's the thread, the common thread that, goes through everything I've done. And for me, it's always about systems, not just a project. It's about how do we leave a system that is better than when we met it or than when we got there.
That's incredible. And that is so true to what I know of you. You're driven by action. You don't just want to talk. You talk, yes, you speak about the issues, but you get things done. And you already started speaking about women, which is a strong passion of yours. You've been very intentional in this, both at professional levels and even at a personal level. And so it's no surprise that you were recently bestowed with the title Soniya Asusu Nupe in your home state.
Yes.
And where you're from in Bida, Niger State in Nigeria. What does this title symbolize for you?
Okay. So literally, it means treasurer. So treasurer of the Nupe people, custodian of the Nupe Commonwealth. And by the way, Nupe people go beyond Bida actually, because it's a kingdom. It's an ethnic group. And you know that a lot of Africa, there people migrate from one place to the other. So you have Nupe people in different parts of Nigeria. For me, it's not just an honor because the title honors my contributions to finance, policy, and all the things I've done, but it's also a calling. It's a new call to service. It's a new call to use my leadership, my influence, my knowledge, and my purpose to serve others. To serve others in a way that merges tradition with finance, that merges policy with purpose. I really love it because it's a mix of everything that we need to have, which is identity. Because culture is about identity. Of course, it's about tradition, but it's also about who we are, where we are from. And I do not think a people can really be empowered and really be prosperous if they don't know who they are and if they don't stand in their truth. Now, you can be standing in your truth from a cultural perspective, or you can be standing in your truth as a young person, that is different, or standing in your truth as a woman. You may be the only woman on a board. You may be the only woman in a certain, say, sector that is male dominated. But this whole thing about identity really speaks strongly to me, because I know we're going to talk about philanthropy. This is why we're here. I think philanthropy has to be co-created with those that we're trying to influence. And if those we're trying to influence do not know who they are, do not celebrate who they are, then we're not going to have lasting change. The Asusu is a collective. It may be a word that a lot of people know because some people do Asusu, which is collective investment schemes and all of that. The Asusu is a trust to say this is the commonwealth of the people. It may be held by an individual or a few individuals in trust for the people, for the benefit of the people. So for me, I'm really, really excited about what I can do with this role. Not just advocating for those that don't have a voice or whose voices are not typically heard, but inspiring people to take charge of what they want to see. And I think all my experiences really, really matter in this respect. So not just for Nupe people, for the North, for Nigeria, for Africa.
Wow, this is a very interesting lesson on the richness of our culture and how we can marry that, with driving change and policy. And can you speak a bit more about Amfani Zhiba Foundation, which you launched? And I believe you already started talking about what you want to do, but I see that you saw a need to put some structure? Because obviously you've been philanthropic all this while,
Yes.
but I know you well. And I know that in anything you do, you want to ensure that it's lasting, it's sustainable. Is that why you set up the foundation? And what do you hope to achieve through the
I
foundation?
like what you said about structure, because remember when we started this conversation, I talked about systems, right? I feel that, we have to move on philanthropy. We have to move from project to project to actually creating sustainability in our philanthropy. Our philanthropy should not just give money. It should welcome ideas. It should birth a new reality that wasn't there before we gave. And I say that because there's been a lot of philanthropic work over the years. People have been giving for many, many, many decades.
Absolutely.
But we are not seeing the transformative change that we think we should see. That is not to say that the monies that have been spent have been wasted. No, they have taken us down this path to this realization that it has to be co-creation. So at Amfani Zhiba, it's about hoping that I do not replace or repeat what is there already. Because in every single system, I'm trying to add value and not more or less do more of same. Right. So it's about women, it's about empowering women and youth. Amfani means usefulness, and it's a word that also traverses many cultures. There's Amfani in Yoruba, there's Amfani in Hausa, which really means the same thing: benefit, usefulness, value. Zhiba means gift. And together we are saying that we want to empower women, youth, and those that are marginalized to bring out their gifts to empower everybody. Because I really, really believe in shared prosperity. It's good for you to get the reward of your hard work, and that reward can come in, say, influence, in money. But I also believe that every single person has something to offer, and it's about bringing out those gifts. So the foundation is trying to see how we can use education, see how we can use mentorship, see how we can use entrepreneurship to lift communities out of poverty, to empower communities to realize their own dream. So it sounds normal, but we're going to try to approach it in a different way. And that way is that whole grassroots mobilization. What do you want? Do people ever ask communities what they really want? What is progress for them? And how can they, from day one, even before they see $1 or $1, start to influence the progress that they would like to see? So we are hoping to be a leader in that movement, but we're hoping not to be the only ones to be doing that.
This is a perfect segue to my next question, because you've started talking about systems, structure, doing, making significant impact, but not wanting to be the only one. So we're at a time in history or in the world, in the social space, where things changed. It's not business as usual, because the funding landscape significantly shifted and changed earlier this year because of policy change, especially coming out of the United States. Even though it's not the United States, across the world, funding to the continent is shrinking. So there's an urgency at this point in time for us to rise up and fill this gap. In fact, not just fill the gap. It's not about filling the gap. It's about us making the contributions that we should to drive development on the continent. And a lot of people would say that it's not philanthropy that should or can do that by itself. It means everyone coming together. It's philanthropy, it's the private sector, it's government. And you are a picture perfect person of, who straddles different sectors, private, government, and philanthropy. What steps do you think we should be taking at this point in time to leapfrog development on the continent, so that we're not having this conversation in another 20 or 30 years?
That is such an excellent question, and I'm really proud of APF for actually bringing forth some of the more nuances in the conversations we need to be having around philanthropy and around development on the continent. We need to move from coordination to co-creation. There's a lot of talk about coordination, a lot of talk about collaboration. What are those collaborations birthing? You know, it bears repeating that in a co-creation mindset, we're going to be working hand in hand with those that we want to influence to bring the future that works for them. What should we be doing differently? I think policy has its place. Policy provides an enabling environment. Business provides innovation and efficiency. Philanthropy is so important because of the patient capital and the closeness to communities that it can bring. Now, all of these different actors need to stand in their own truth and do what they do best, but come together to create something that is better than if they did it by themselves. And I think that is the key. There are a number of things we need. We need data. We need data to understand where the real challenges are, when the needs are. We need incentives. And these days, I think with this, hyper media environment, a lot of people are incentivized by visibility. Oh, this is what we're doing, showing the numbers. We need to be looking at impact. We need to incentivize those that are making impact. We need to measure. Of course, the data will help us understand what we need to do and what impact looks like. And then we need to celebrate those that are making that impact. And that would inspire others to be more focused on impact than the visibility part. Then we need trusted intermediaries. What do I mean by that? You have to speak someone's language for you to really, when I say language, not necessarily say cultural language. It is staying in their shoes and really understanding what their lived reality is. We need people that are good at bridging things. I think I'm one of those people. For a very long time, I was either one thing or the other. So I was either a northerner in the north, a northerner with a Yoruba background in the north, or a southerner in the south with a northern background. And I was sort of navigating those spaces. What should I show up as? I'm either sort of a strong analytical finance person that knows numbers and knows, the big world of business and finance, or I am a softer, more empathetic social person, and I'm trying to bridge that. It is people like me now that I've embraced all that I am, that can speak the language that people need to hear, that can bridge those worlds. With Amfani, for example, we're trying to say we want to build a global mentoring program. Do you know what that means? That means I'm going to get my friend Anna, that's American, Russian American, to actually mentor a girl that is in Bida. That is so different.
Right.
But instead of positioning Africa as we need people to feed us, and you're getting all these envelopes that say feed a starving child in Africa, I'm saying feed a young girl, feed her mind, feed her possibilities. So it's someone like me that can get these two worlds to be together. I go to Bida. I love going home. I go to Bida. I go to Imesile, where my mother is from. And there's that part of me. But I also go to New York, and I also did an event in Onga, and I was so happy that you were there to witness the event. Why do I have to keep those worlds separate?
Yeah.
I can bring those worlds together. And there we can do all the co-creation, all the amazing ideas that will come out of it. So that's what I think we need to move philanthropy forward. And we had an amazing event that I spoke at in Marrakesh. And we're talking about funding the climate action. And in all of the conversations we had, we talked about blended capital. We can't do it without philanthropy. So philanthropy is really, really key. And I like the way you framed it. It's not because they are pulling aid. It is because we have not seen change.
Right.
And we need to, sort of like amend the system so we can actually witness the transformative impact that we are looking for. So that's what we need to do.
Great. You have such an amazing story, and your journey is also a very interesting one. I like the way you just sort of gave us a visual of how you were living your life in all these compartments. And then you came to the realization of, oh, all of this can actually work together. And if we begin to think about people within your network, or maybe even within the APF network, that haven't come to that realization, or are still just doing their philanthropy in the way we do because we are culturally givers, what would you advise them? What should they think about when they begin to determine how they want to structure their giving or how they want to become more deliberate, what should they be looking at? How should they approach it?
Yes. I think the ones that are already giving, they're actually well on their way. Because once you start giving, you can then start to see how much how you need to refine that giving. I want us to talk to those that are not doing it yet. Because there's this misconception that, doing philanthropy is about abundance. It's about excess. No, it's not about excess. It's not about, having this lots of money and then deciding that, okay, now I have enough and then I can give others. No, it's about intention. I think the first thing is you need to identify what you want to work on. What do you care about? What is that thing that you keep thinking about all the time? There's some things that we live with, the ideas we live with from when we're young and it keeps niggling at us. Find one. Decide that this is it. Then go deep. Going deep, people think philanthropy is all about money. As a finance person that has worked across private wealth management, retail banking, investment management, money is actually the last thing. Ideas, vision, conviction are more important than money. I think it's worth really explaining a bit further what I mean by money being the last thing. It may not be the last thing. Maybe it's the third thing or the second thing. What I mean by that is that I want us to change our perspective about philanthropy, about aid as being something where the resources are outside of our continent. I think we need to remember that our continent has a lot of value that it can channel into worthy causes. All we need is to build trust in our systems,
Right.
so that capital can be comfortable to come into the impact space. So this is not to so de-emphasize the role of money and the fact that we do have a lot of development challenges and not enough government space to be able to, provide the social infrastructure we need. A lot of African governments and emerging market governments are struggling from a fiscal consolidation perspective. But I'm trying to challenge the private sector within the continent that we have enough that can at least get us started on the road we need to be. What government needs to do is to really, really build that trust, that good governance that will let people really, really invest, locally. Now, why I say go deep into it is that the more you understand the problem, the more you understand the space, the more you know how to channel the resources towards what you want and then connect. That's why I love APF. And that's why I'm so proud that Amfani Zhiba Foundation has joined the APF network, because you need ideas. You need partnerships to do everything that you want to do. And then the money will come. So I would say, don't think you need excess. You can start today to decide what you love, go deep, work, connect within it, and then, connect with that, idea, and then seek out platforms like APF to get the partnerships that would give you ideas, that would give you access to other people working in that space. What I love the most is when you're in a room full of what I call your tribe.
Right.
APF brings tribes together. Everyone working on women is together, and we are all sort of so excited about all our different ideas. And I love the feeling of there's no competition, because the problem is big. The problem needs so much more people. So we're not competing here. We're like, oh, how did it work in Tanzania? Maybe we can use that in Nigeria. Or how are they doing it in Angola? Maybe we should try this in, say, the US, and then we have this great big, I like to talk in terms of nice big utopias that's going to happen, if not in our lifetimes. But, they will happen. And we will be the ones to put that foundation there for it to happen.
Oh, those are great nuggets that you just dropped. In fact, you dropped a lot. And you're such an advocate of APF and its community. And I like hearing from people like you that know how to take advantage of the opportunities that abound within the APF community. So it's for our audience. I would just like to say it is so interesting that I would speak to a member and the person just says, oh, I was with Aishah in this country. And I'm like, where did you be? Oh, it was at the APF meeting. And then you developed a relationship. It is such a great way to tap into the network beyond what we can do for members. We create the space and then we leave you to fly. And you've been able to do that so well. And I'm looking forward to seeing how, the new foundation is just going to evolve in the next 5 years, next 10 years. I'm sure you'll be telling us so much more in another podcast, because this will not be the last one. This is the first, but it wouldn't be the last. And in closing, you're a powerful figure, not in Nigeria, in the global space. And there is so much to you. We read all the OFR, the CFA, there are all these acronyms attached to your name. There is the Soniya Asusu Nupe, which is SAN. It sounds like Senior Advocate of Nigeria. And I'm like, are we sure there isn't a calling in law? But there's so many sides to you. For women like yourself, or younger women, I think I'll speak to younger women. Younger women that are coming up in the space, that are struggling to find their way, what would you say to them? How should they chart their path in a way that they don't feel lost there's so much out there these days? How can they be focused in a way that they achieve their potential, and they're not just surviving, they're actually thriving and driving impact, recognizing that it is not just about being successful, but it's also about being significant?
Yes, I love the way you say successful and significant. I love that. We are in an age of hyper comparison, hyper visibility. It's all about the social. It's all about the gram. By the way, I've joined the gram. I've come back to the gram. And that can mess with you if you don't know what you're trying to do. And I'd like people to realize, young women to realize that, when you look at me, and you look at you, look at some of the other women around that we are proud of, that we celebrate, you are looking at a semi-finished product. You're not looking at us through the uncertainties that we faced, the challenges that we went through, the failures that we had. I try to these days talk about my failure so people understand that failure and success can sit in the same person. I don't want you to think that because you have failed at something, it means that you can't get there. So what thriving means to Aishah Ahmad is different from what thriving means to Mosunlayode. And that speaks to the identity conversation I was saying. If you don't know yourself, and sometimes as a young person, you are evolving. I'm not saying know yourself today. I'm still learning myself, because I'm also full of some of the things we've been taught as children, the way we've been brought up, what society expects us to be. That may be different from what you want to be. So I would say to them, find that thing that you want to contribute into the world. For me, it was having a very great attitude, working in finance. I loved working with people. I was lucky that I was working in an area that I loved. When you're working in an area you love, no one can compete with you, because you are just the kind of energy, the kind of passion, the kind of commitment you put into it, somebody else can't. Find what that is. And if you haven't found it already, do your best everywhere you are. But let it be internal. So it's not the gram. The gram should be used as a tool to share the things that you care about, not as a tool to compare yourself to others or to lead you in a direction that is not you. And then leave the rest to God. And I know in a few years, you're going to be sitting down, they're going to be having interviews with you like this. They're going to be putting acronyms behind your name. And you're going to be amazed at everything that you have achieved. Because we all face uncertainty. As a young girl, I faced uncertainty. I faced a feeling of not belonging. I'll talk about that another time at another podcast. And those things can hold you back. The way you think about yourself, the things you feel you can do or can't do. I had to navigate all that. And I failed my CFA exam. Famously, I think I failed like 5 times. But I kept at it and I did it. And I got it done. And then there have been situations and leadership positions where I've been in that I've learned lessons. So I would say to them, work hard, yes. Know who you are. And very early on, step into your truth. and everything will be fine. You make an impact.
You're so authentic. I like the fact that you're open about your failures and you're not window dressing anything and saying things through rose-colored glasses. Thank you for sharing that truth. And this has been deep. So I want to come up, for something light.
Light.
Yeah. Just fun fact about you. Something.
Okay.
Two things that would surprise us if we knew about you.
Oh wow! I don't know if you'd be surprised, but
Maybe not me.
yes,
Our audience.
So, oh God, you didn't tell me about this question before. Okay, so let's be very honest. Honestly speaking, I really love to dance.
Yeah,
I love to dance so much that honestly, I dance in front of the mirror. Now, imagine me in front of the mirror, as serious as I am, but things like that give me joy. And I've always imagined myself like performing on stage. I don't know if you were at my 40th birthday.
I was about to talk about your 40th birthday.
And I forced my friends.
Yes, because you had this, choreographed dance, and you were the lead. You were like giving J-Lo vibes.
Yes, so I've always had this, I'm going to be a performer kind of thing. But beyond the performative part of music, I think music really lifts my soul, makes me happy, and depending on the mood, can make me introspective. So that's one thing people don't know. And another thing is that I really love to cook.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I love to cook. The thing is that with all our structures in Nigeria, right, you have help, you have cook and everything. I tend not to want to be able to share a kitchen with anybody. So the best time I cook is when I'm in the UK or the US, a very small kitchen, see the stove, see the, fridge, and I cook the best fried rice that you ever.
Okay, that is my invitation.
It is.
That is my invitation.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I love how we're ending this. It's been a very informative, deep, and also entertaining conversation with you. Definitely not the last.
No.
We look forward to having you at future podcast series, but also at APF events, because there's so much we can and will do together.
Yes. Thank you very much for having me. And thank you for all you do at APF. And I'm very, very proud of where you've taken APF personally. Having worked together, at Wimbase and seeing you pivot to this role, it just really gladdens my heart. I know the interview is over, but I seriously think that we need more voices from the Global South that are capable, that speak with conviction, that can show people that this is what Africa represents, not what people think it is. It is leaders like you that are very forward-looking and, very inspiring. So I'm very proud of you. Thank you very much once.
Thank you for the kind words, and thank you again for joining us.
Thanks.
Hi, my name is Mosun Layode, and this is the APF podcast series.
Hello, I'm Aishah Ahmad, and this is the APF podcast series.